Hello guys, welcome back to another lovely trading video. In this one we're going to be doing some quick analysis on BMRA, which is the largest gap up today, around 38%. So on BMRA we will always, as always, go over to daily, see is there any gaps that need to be filled, because if so, those are going to be our first priority targets. And when looking at this, we can see kind of we had a gap here, but that was filled to there. Gap here, again filled. So the only gap that I can see very easily would be the new gap down to 450. So that's overall going to be our final target if we're short on the stock. 450, as that's most likely going to be that final target before we get a strong bounce. Now you'll also see that we go over to standard deviations. If you've never seen this channel before, standard deviations are basically, you may have learned it before, where kind of you got 58% of the data within a certain, or within one deviations, 95% within two, and 99.7% of data within three deviations. And you can basically think of it as this gold is all within the 68%. The blue second deviation is basically the 95%, and this green is basically the 99.7%. So you usually know as the stock comes more and more out of this orange line or golden line and more into the blue and greens, you know more likely that it's going to be reversing, especially when it comes into those third ones. And that's why you'll also see selling pressure or buying pressure, depending what side you're trading, when it comes into these levels. So firstly, we're going to mark off where are these deviations, because these will provide us both bounce targets and take profit targets depending how you're trading this. So these are all the ones we'll mark off. We don't usually use the full deviations, we have them more just for insights. Usually if stocks are closing above the third deviation, we would not trade them, so they're more just there as intraday. If they for some reason break through the third, that's usually the top that we would see. If a stock breaks through the fourth and even closes above it, it's just a very risky stock to trade, and something I would personally never touch. So using what we can actually see, we can actually go into this to make it a bit cleaner. We can see that firstly the first deviation on the 4 hour and our gap area line up. So this tells us that it's a very good chance that this will be a bounce area when it comes down to here, and also that it's a strong profit target because selling pressure will most likely come into this level. So that's a key thing to be keeping an eye out when, especially when they line up. It's a strong area. So this 450, great area to be locking in profits if you are short. Now, where can you be getting maybe long positions or covering shorts? And why I say that, because they're going to be the same targets. So for example, 489, so kind of 487 is the first deviation on the daily. You can use it as a bounce target as it comes into there, get a small bounce play, or you can use it if you're short now. It's usually a good area to be locking in some profits just before that line, because usually buying pressure will come in as you're looking for that bounce. And the reason we tend to lock in profits there, even if it may continue down, is because we don't know, it could quite easily be a reversal zone, because a lot of buying pressure usually comes in these zones. So safer to lock in profits. If you want to get really short, you can. So right now we're trading at $6, and it actually closed around 6.20, and you'll see that's right above the second deviation on the daily. So we're going to have to wait for it to open up on Monday, but this will kind of decide whether this is going to continue up or down. If we open it up below the kind of 6.20 mark, basically if we gap down, then it's most likely going to fade out for the rest of the day. Why do I say that? Because then we're kind of, the selling pressure is coming in, and it's probably going to stay under that deviation because it's already hit it, and it's probably not going to break back up. However, if it opens up, gaps up maybe a tiny bit, or even opens up where it is right now, then we could see it pushing up a bit more, and would be having price targets of around that $7 area, all the way out at a push to around 871. So those are our key targets. Again, depending how you trade, you'll interpret these levels different. Obviously, if you're only a long bias trader, you're probably going to be looking to take bounces off these levels. And again, usually for a good reference on where to be locking in profits, you could use either half or whole deviations, because that's usually how the stock will bounce. For example, let's say we come down into this 577 level, where would we most likely see the bounce? That would be to around 615, because that's the closest deviation. We could go intraday, and we may even be able to see this happening today. And yeah, that's exactly here. You see it came down to this Deviation exactly bounced off this level, came back and reclaims or comes to test the above deviation, and you'll see it again comes down to test this level exactly before coming back to test that level. That's why you can usually use whole deviations or whatever is the closest deviation. If that's a half or full deviation, it's usually the best area to be looking at profits. And by that I mean, obviously here let's say our buy level was at 577 level. You can see we got no half deviations. These dashed lines are half deviations. We got none of them closer. The closest level we have to the upside is 615, so that usually is a good insight on where to take profits, because that's usually where a stop will bounce for, even if it's going to continue downwards. So hope you enjoyed the insight on BMRA. Depending how you trade it, I hope that was insightful, and that's it. Peace.